guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to be talking about nurse bullies. Okay, we're going to be talking about mean preceptors, nurses who are mean to their nursing students, mean doctors. Like, listen, if you are trying to become a nurse or a nurse already, you know that there can be some nasty people in the workforce. And listen, on this channel, we're trying to deal with everything gracefully. You know, your girl likes to deal with things with grace. So I'm going to try to give you guys some tips on how to deal with difficult people in the medical workforce, in some ways that I've dealt with it. So hopefully these tips will help you guys. But of course, while we're at it, make sure you pull up a chair and you stay a while. Okay, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, comment down below your favorite tip, and while we're at it, let's get into the video. Okay, first and foremost, I did want to let you guys know about the giveaway that I had last month. So all of the winners have been contacted, and I wanted to just say, like, there's some scammy things going on, so I had to do it privately and not publicly announce the winners. So apparently I heard wind, people have been messaging me privately, just stating that there's a lot of spam that goes on and people are commenting done without actually doing the two things that I asked people to do. So it makes it seem as if like they can qualify for the giveaway, which is not fair to people who actually, you know, did the things and are like true subscribers and things like that. And that's weird. And then also I also heard that when you announce the winners sometimes and you try to give people a chance to contact you, there's a lot of fake spammy accounts that will also try to pretend to be the person that you're trying to reach out to. So it's like, oh hey, Chris is the winner. Chris, when you see this, give me an email or whatever. And then someone will make a fake email or make a fake page pretending to be that person, and then sadly the real person never gets the prize. But either way, so I just had to do it privately. But guys, if you guys didn't win this time, don't worry, there'll be plenty of giveaways in the future. That's something that I hope to continue to keep doing and show my appreciation with you guys, but just wanted to let you guys know that. Okay, so to start off, we've all dealt with our fair share of rude people, like whether it just be like road rage, somebody cuts you off, you're walking in the street, somebody bumps your shoulder, rude customer service. Like, we've all dealt with like rude people, and how we deal with it, you know, really does determine the outcome of like how the situation ends, right? So when it comes to your nursing career though, and your nursing profession, like, you really want to deal with these situations accordingly. You want to deal with it like respectfully, but also still advocating for yourself that this type of behavior doesn't necessarily need to be tolerated, whether I am a senior nurse or I just started or I'm a nursing student, right? So I really want to start with nurses that are rude to their nursing students. Like, why? It's so frustrating already, you know, from a nursing student's perspective. I can totally understand where, you know, you're already nervous, you're already anxious, you come on the scene and you're just like, hi, you know, hi, nice to meet you, and the nurse is looking at you like, ugh. Like, I've literally had more than one nurse on multiple different classes, whether it be like peds or whatever, different classes of nurses just telling me like, ugh, I don't know, I'm having you today, or just being audibly rude. Like, it'll be one thing if you internally like are annoyed, but like a lot of my nurses were audibly rude. But I was like, you know what? I try to empathize and see things from their view. So that's the nursing student's perspective. It's like, look, I'm just trying to learn. I don't want to be following you around like a puppy, but I need to learn. I need to pass this class. Like, I was told by my instructor to follow you, so here I am. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're looking at me like I'm the one that did it, right? And then on the other side, I can empathize with that nurse who probably didn't know that you were being assigned to her. Is already short-staffed, already probably has a very overwhelming assignment, feels like she probably is not getting paid enough to do this, you know, so she's going through these things as well. But one thing that I would say is, like, just because, you know, I can empathize and understand, it doesn't always make it right. And I always try to say, hey, like, at one point when I was a nursing student, I was like, when I become a nurse, I'm always going to be nice to, you know, new nurses or just nurses, nursing students, because I know what it feels like to be in that position and just feel like you don't know anything, right? So here are my tips to deal with difficult nurses that kind of are giving you a little attitude as a nursing student. So first off, when I go and I introduce myself and they're like, hey, you're going to be with this nurse today, I will make it known that I'm going to be with that nurse today. And I will start off the you know, with high energy. Like, hi, my name is Ashley, I'll be with you today. And I also let them know where I am in my nursing sequence or semester, because some nurses don't know, or they teach a lot of nursing students, so they don't know, like, did you just start yesterday and you have no idea what a supply closet is, or like what a pump is, or are you on your way out where you can probably, you know, do a lot of these things and I don't have to tell you what to do. So it is important to let the nurse know, because if she thinks that you're like, you know, level 4 and you're really level 1, then she is going to catch an attitude like, oh, I thought you can do this, so I have to do this myself. So to prevent that, I just let the nurse know where I am, like, you know, introducing myself, what I am expected to see or learn that day. Like, you know, hey, if you have any Foley's that you have to do, you know, and I'm around, would you mind grabbing me and I can just watch you? Or, you know, today we're learning vital signs, would you mind if I watch you the first couple times and then I can do everyone after that, or whatever the case may be, right? So it's really just being proactive. Even if your nurse is still rude in the beginning, I really suggest giving it a little bit of a second, because sometimes maybe she didn't even know that you were being assigned, right? So I give it at least like 30 minutes to an hour after introducing myself and seeing that first interaction with the patient. Like, even if she doesn't call me along to say, hey, Ashley, like, come, do you want to follow me? I'm about to go and, you know, say hi to my patients. I will get up and I'll follow her, because at the end of the day, you are a student and you still are there to learn. And she, although she may be being rude or he may be being rude to you, you still have a duty as a student to learn. And so you may not be blatantly, you know, like, oh, get off of me, but I'm going to follow you because I need to learn. Okay. I'm not going to be in your space, but if you are going to a patient room, I will be right there and I'll ask, is it okay? Or, you know, can I follow you? Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to be proactive. I'm not going to let that attitude stop me from learning what I need to learn. You know what I mean? Because I need to pass this class, or I need to pass this clinical, right? So that's really my advice to you guys. And then after, if you feel like she's just being standoffish, you really are getting negative vibes from him or her, I would then elevate that to your clinical instructor and just let your clinical instructor know, hey, I'm getting really bad vibes. I have been with her for him or her for a few patients and she's not letting me do anything. I try to involve myself and, you know, she's kind of being rude, he's kind of being rude, and is it okay that I don't get assigned to that nurse ever again? Or is it okay that I can watch you, the clinical instructor, with the other students instead of following that nurse today? Because, like I said, you can't control how that nurse responds to you, but you can control how you respond to that attitude and what you need to learn for that day, because you need to learn, right? So it's like, look, if you're not willing to help me, I need to make a way to do it. Like, maybe there's a nice nurse, you know, that is willing to accept 2 nursing students, or knows that that nurse may be having a bad day and is like, look, you know, if I have something interesting, I'll call you in. And that's all you need. But keep a positive attitude. Don't, you know, be complaining and running your mouth so that other nurses can hear. Like, no. That's where you can control the atmosphere that you're in. I would say still keep a positive attitude and still try to learn, but if you know that that is not working, then advocate for yourself. Let your clinical instructor know so that you can be reassigned, or they just know, okay, finish out the day, but we're not going to put you with her again. So next I want to talk about, like, after you've transitioned from nursing school, you've graduated, and now you're starting as a new nurse, right? So that next hurdle is your nurse preceptor. This one is so, like, it's so black and white to me, because your nursing preceptor is really the person that makes or breaks your nursing, your introduction into this profession, into that unit, into that specialty. It really does matter, you know. That nurse that was mean to you while you were a nursing student, that's not going to affect your job. That's not going to affect, you know, you learning, because you can just get somebody else. But your nursing preceptor is the one who's really going to be showing you the ropes for that many weeks or that many months. And that bond and how she treats you or he treats you is really important, and it builds because when you are a new nurse, that preceptor not only teaches you clinical things, but also instills in you confidence. And whether they are, you know, consciously doing that or not, your preceptor is someone that, you know, looks at you and says, no, you can do it, try again. You know, I know you messed up this time, but do it one more time. Compared to that nursing preceptor is like, oh, she's an idiot. He's an idiot. Oh my goodness. Or talks about you because you messed up, or makes you feel like an idiot because you make common mistakes because you're new and you don't know, you know? So you really need to just pick up on that early. And same thing like before, it's like if you feel like this is not a good fit, then you need to speak to your nursing educator and say, hey, I don't feel like this is a good fit. Is there anyone else that would be willing to teach me? And make sure that you give it a try before you give up. Like I said, sometimes it takes people warming up to, but once you show that you are willing to learn, I promise you, literally I can say 85 to 90% of the time, that nurse or that nursing preceptor, they will change. Because if you're willing to learn and you're willing to help, that matters. You know what I mean? If you're just like, ugh, fine, they have attitude today, like, I'm not going to help them. Like, hey, you got to have attitude, but I'm here to learn. Did you need help, moving that patient? Or I would see what they need or hear what the patient says, and I would just try to help them out, because it's like, look, I'm on your side, I can hear the nurse say, I need a cup of, the patient say, I need a cup of water, and I'm like, I'll get it, because that's the one thing that I can do, right? I'll ask if they can have water, great, I'll get it. Oh, you need something from the supply closet? Don't worry, save your steps, I'll get it. That's being proactive, okay? And that will get you very, very far. So with all of that being said, if you are proactive and you see that despite your efforts, it's still not working out, like I said, just make sure to escalate the situation amicably by, stating that to either your manager or your nursing educator to help you change your preceptor, because you don't want to be 10 steps behind while the other nurse who's getting precepted by an awesome nurse who's really just, building her up, and now you're like feeling like, oh man, like my nursing preceptor didn't tell me that, etc., etc. Okay? Honestly, my last case scenario is really just dealing with like mean nurses in general, and then cliques, and also mean doctors. Like when you are in the nursing profession, this is like, yes, you have males, but it's like also female dominated, and so sometimes you can kind of feel like you're in high school sometimes, and you're dealing with like nursing cliques, and these nurses don't talk to these nurses, and the senior nurses are being bullies to the new nurses. It's really like, it's kind of crazy, and it's sad to say. I would really be lying if I said it doesn't exist, but it does. And so all you have to do is just make the mental note to either not partake in it or advocate if it does happen to you, or if you see it happening to other people. I can't tell you enough times where it's like, it may not be happening to you, but if you see it happening to someone else, you need to speak up as well. You need to help them and advocate for them as well. I definitely felt like I've had senior nurses try to bully me, and I put emphasis on try, because a bully is a bully. They're gonna try, they're gonna try whoever they can, and I kind of present like more quiet at work, more reserved. I'm not like the most outgoing person at work, because I go there for work and I'm gonna do what I need to do and go home. But I think that sometimes can get mistaken as like, oh, she won't say anything. So that's why I say try. But once someone tries, they quickly realize I'm not the one to play with. No, I don't deal with that. I don't like that. So yeah, so if someone tries, I will say I do the same approach. I try to still be respectful and be amicable, but I am very stern with my boundaries, and I don't back down to people who are disrespectful to me, and I will escalate the situation if need be. So I do advise that for you guys. I don't partake in cliques, because I want to be able to like be nice to all nurses. It's not like, oh, because you're not in my clique, I'm not going to help you with that patient, or I don't partake in that, and I really don't suggest that, because we're not in high school, we're grown. So let's not try to continue that culture. And I'm really an advocate for changing this nurse bullying and this toxic nurse environment. Like, just let's leave it in the past. Like, we've got a lot of other stuff to deal with. Like, life is already hard enough. We don't need all this nursing drama to follow us. Like, stop it, okay? Let's be nice and continue. You're not going to like everybody, and that's fair. Your personality is not going to mesh with everyone, but one thing you have to do is be respectful. And nobody has time for petty work related drama when a patient is crashing. Like, I work in the ER, so there's a lot of critical situations that can happen. And imagine someone being childish or cliquey, and a patient really needs that help, but because they don't like you, they're not going to help you with that patient. I can't imagine that. You know what I mean? So let's just stop it. My next point is dealing with difficult doctors. I feel like this is something that could be a video within itself, but this is just me like skimming the surface. I feel like, I've been fortunate enough to deal with doctors that aren't, really rude or aggressive, because I work in the ER, and the ER is like such, nurses have a lot of seniority. Nurses have a lot of authority in the ER, especially the level 1 trauma center that I work with, and they really trust their nurses. And sometimes, like, yeah, they'll trust their senior nurses more than newer nurses, but if you have proven over time that you kind of know what you're talking about, or you advocate for your patients, or you ask questions before things happen, they start to build trust in you, and then they trust what you say. The attendings and the senior doctors really aren't ever really mean. Sometimes you may hear like residents or certain newer doctors having a little sass, but I think it's really a superiority complex. Like, they kind of struggle with, like, you know, I'm a doctor and I tell nurses what to do, compared to a senior doctor would never think like that. I feel like some I'm only speaking from my experience, by the way. I don't know about OR and all this stuff like that, because there are mean doctors, but I haven't experienced that, so I'm thankful. But some senior doctors will tell you to trust your nurses and to never get on your nurse's bad side, because you need your nurses, and it's a team. Like, if you're telling me something like, oh, you need to do this, it's like, I don't report to you. I have my own manager, my own supervisor, and my own, you know, nursing policies that I have to follow. So it's not like you're above me. We literally work as a team. Like, I can't do certain things without you, and you literally cannot do things without me. So let's stop with the attitude and proceed, you know, accordingly. But besides that, how I deal with rude doctors is, like, I really try not to engage, but I try to just present facts. Like, I'm trying to think of scenarios, but I haven't really had much. You know, I had a resident, you know, consistently try to, like, boss me around, and it was very condescending, like, you know, oh, the nurse will do that, or, you know, she does that, or like, I'm not going to touch that, or like, it was very condescending, and it made me feel like the help. And even though as a nurse we do help the doctors, but it made it seem like I was a peasant and that she was incapable of just doing the bare minimum. And so briefly, there was a patient that the ER was slammed. I had like 13 patients at this time, and we all nurses were drowning. It was really bad this shift, and I was actively getting an IV on a patient. My head is down and focused. I'm like flustered a little bit internally, but I'm like trying to keep going. And so this resident comes and is like, oh my gosh, this patient who just came in, I checked her pulse ox and her oxygen was low, and so she's like, you know, you need to go over there and give her some oxygen. Now obviously ABCs, it's priority of like, you know, airway, breathing, and things like that. And so although that would have been my priority to help that patient with the oxygen, this patient was internally bleeding and needed IV access, like, immediately, like needed blood transfusion. So it was really a priority thing in using your resources. And I kindly turned to her and I said, I understand that you believe that this is a thing that only I can do, but as you can see, because it was crazy, I was like, I physically cannot do that within this moment. I have the oxygen tank right by her stretcher, and there was a nasal cannula right above it, and I said, if you can spare 1 minute to go do that for that patient, because to me I felt like, if you can walk all the way over here and you're saying she's in distress, then why couldn't you just do it and help, like, and be a team player? And that's really what my problem was, because I also was dealing with a critical patient at that time. So it was like, look, like, you need to help, and not just be like, oh, she'll do it. No, girl, help. So you just, you know, kill them with kindness. And if these things consistently persist, then I would suggest writing a incident report, and escalating it to your manager, because if your manager really is a team player, then they don't tolerate that type of behavior as well. But these are things that are really just like, also build character, build confidence. Don't let a nursing bully stop you from your gut feeling about patients. You know, I personally am a strong advocate about that. Just because you're new doesn't mean you're incompetent. It doesn't mean that you don't have the right to ask questions or to question a senior nurse. Just because a senior nurse is, you know, has more experience than you doesn't mean that they can't make a mistake, or doesn't mean that there's something new that they don't know. And so, you know, you need to know that, like, as a newer nurse, or just in general, like, we're not going to tolerate nursing bullying. We're not going to tolerate attitudes or people being mean for no reason. Like, this is not high school, okay? But this video was just kind of like how I deal with some of it, and you know, some tips on to why you should not tolerate that. You know, I want to try to change the dynamic of this like toxic nurse environment. But anyways, guys, if you have any questions or want me to do any more videos related to this topic, I would love to, because I'm so passionate about it. Like, I just feel like we should all work together, and it shouldn't be like this high school saga in the nursing field. But it is what it is. We gotta take it one day at a time. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.